Yeah. It is 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles, right? Yep. Monday, March 31st, AD 2025. Nice. Thanks, man. We're going to have a fun, loosey-goosey, the Hake Report show, guys. Everybody loves Mondays, right? Or do ya? Yes, the Hake Report. And look at these beautiful rocks in Sacred Cove, California. We can't go down there anymore right now because the land is too unstable getting down in that area. Last I checked. It's a shame. But is Trump going to get a third term? Why do people freak out? Why do people freak out over stuff that Trump says? People are the Greenland people. They seem like they're of ill humor. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we will always be what do they call themselves? Self-determination, something like that. We will always have our self-determination. But Denmark owns you, right? Doesn't Denmark own Greenland? There were some Danish people at church yesterday. Shout out to them. That was fun. That was cool. Oh, I got to turn on my punchy.tv server. So ridiculous, but it would be cool if Trump did get Greenland, maybe, you know? I heard that there could be a good reason for it. And I wouldn't be against a third term with Trump, right? These people don't see the wisdom of Trump, in my opinion. No, I think it's just a fact. They don't see how great and perfect. He's the man for the job, president. It's so weird, Nick. Like this turns off and that goes small. It's like I'm so spoiled by everything just working. Oh, those remote. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to learn too. I don't want to learn. I can learn. And we'll have to learn what's his name too. Daniel. I'm gonna learn Daniel how to work this studio too. We will be taking your calls. 1-888-775-3773. Thank you, JLP, for rating the stream over on the Rumble crew. I should be kicked on, hopefully on, no, not yet. On the punchy.tv/Hake. I was late in turning it on. My bag. So hopefully that does kick on pretty soon here. What's up, D-Live crew? Well, let's talk about nature. I'm done with news for a while. Yeah, I understand. But, oh, look, you can tell I'm recording with my cell phone. Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Show. You know, one little warning. It is not, some of you will be happy about this, maybe. It is not Mexican Monday. It is not going to be Rigo Tovar Tuesday, nor is it going to be Mary Rice Hopkins any day. Well, it might be Mary Rice Hopkins. I could probably still play Mary Rice Hopkins. But it's not going to be Starflyer 59 Work Hard Wednesday. It's not even going to be Fob Friday. Probably not even Frog Eyes Friday. And you know why? Because I was inundated, bombarded with emails. All of a sudden, Spotify wants to protect people's copyrighted content. So they took down a whole bunch of episodes. Just boom, 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 boom. Did you know some of you guys didn't even know I'm on Spotify. But you can podcast audio, The Hake Report, on Spotify. Except there's a whole bunch of missing episodes because I played beautiful music at the end of my show. Objectively beautiful music at the end of my show. So thank Spotify for cleaning up Hake's musical offerings. We'll see if they let me play John Parfit, Bright Lights. He gave Jesse permission, so hopefully I don't get dinged for that too. And if I get dinged for that, then we'll simplify even further. So John Parfit from now on at the end of the show, guys. Get excited. I haven't played John Parfit forever, and he's a vibe. Bright Lights? Come on. So I'm actually happy to get back to him. Getting back to my roots as the Hake Report, you know? Joel Friday TV is coming up after this. And after that, American Anchor Baby. And Jake Hudson. I believe in James Hake. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I could play the AI Hake music. I can't wait, Hake. Dreary eyes emoji. Yeah, I mean, his stuff is kind of depressing, but it's good. Takes me back in the day. And we'll get to your super chats as well, everybody. Buymeacoffee.com/The Hake Report is where I look the most for the super chats, but you can take your pick and I'll work with you. If you prefer Streamlabs, go for it. You know? Anyway, guys. Wait. Not ready for that yet. Have to get things going. Oh, yeah, that would have been loud. Now, anyway, guys, let's just get right on with... Oh, I was like, what's that noise? I'm in the car wash. Oh, what did I just saw something. Control P hits play. Show! Watch this, no hands.
1, 2,
nice.
3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. Got my nice little snake shirt on. It's like a hood, the hooded snake. What's the snake with the hood? Cobra. Don't ask me where I got it. I won't tell you where I got it, which is telling you where I got it, by the way. Nice. So let's dive right in because there's so much to get to. If you mosey on over to thehakereport.com, if you're ever curious about what Hake's been covering on thehakereport.com, is where you can find the different episodes as well as notes from the JLP show, okay? And Hake news and stuff. There's black female comedian Amber Ruffin, canceled. I kind of like when the Trump team inadvertently eliminates a little extra diversity. This gal, aw, she looks fun/funny for a woman, you know, sometimes, perhaps. It might be, I don't know anything about her. Sometimes these gals try too hard. That's a fancy outfit, huh? With, these are called, what are the curly Q things? I forget. But it's pretty fancy outfit there. Ruffin, Andrea Ruffin. She is canceled from the thingy. Oh Lord, she hosted her own late night talk show. Hosted, keyword hosted. That didn't work out. Women are not good late night hosts, or are they? Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a writer for Late Night with Seth Meyers since 2014. Oh, okay. So she's sort of a talented, funny world, supposedly funny anyway, person. And she could really be funny. But she was canceled from the White House. You know, the White House Correspondents' Dinner with these, the mainstream media people. They have their thing, and then the president may speak a little bit, and then somebody also will speak. And I remember Trump got talked about by Obama, I think, over there. And then Trump is like, okay, all right, watch. And I remember the great Ben Carson spoke the truth about Obamacare in front of Obama's face. Oh, no, that was the National Prayer Breakfast. Different from the thing. But it's sort of similar because it's political and it has to do with a meal. And there's different outsiders who speak sometimes. So, sweet. That's good. She's out of there. I think that's good. Wow. Myanmar. Major disaster. I told you one person died. It's over 1,700 probably. Maybe way more than that. Myanmar, I guess is how they pronounce it. I mean, I gather that's how you pronounce it. And it hit Bangkok, Thailand too. It's crazy. They just destroyed. Watch, let me show you footage. Well, I don't know. This might be too rough. Myanmar earthquake. Here's footage of, I guess, when it is about to happen. Death toll at least. Look at, oh my gosh. No, I'm going to go away from that. But the destruction. This gal just sitting in her place, office thing, store. Whoa, no. That's too disturbing. I don't want to show it for the sake of the kids. And the tender-hearted, like Hake himself. Look at just how stuff just tipped over, fell. Just total destruction. 7.7 earthquake. You're like, okay, that's not that small. It's pretty big, actually. But look at that. That reminds me of this freeway went down. Oh, no. We don't do music here. No music Monday. Except for John Parfit. 17 million people affected. And they have like a military junta. Junta. They're running the show over there. They asked for help. Look at this. This is like Superman 3 maybe, or one of those Superman movies where the earthquake swallows up that one gal's car. Ooh. Man, oh man. What a big mess. That's crazy. So, whoa, crane just collapsing. No, don't point out the people in it. Oh, no, I don't want to see that. This is not the Anchor Baby where we take pleasure in seeing implosions. Look at the water just moving around in this canal thing. It's like a big bathtub. That is nuts. At least they have cell phones to document what happened so that we can see and relate. Oh, no, I don't want to see this. But, yeah. Do you pray for Myanmar? Man, oh, man. Oh, yeah, I saw this on the TV. They were showing, they were like protecting. Oh, no. We don't want to hear your screeches. They're protecting like babies in a nursery or something. A touching moment during the tragedy. The earthquake in Myanmar was felt in, oh, this is in China. Wow. Ruili, Yunnan, China. 2 nurses at Jingcheng Hospital's maternity center were seen shielding infants. So touching. I mean, it's your job, but it's nice. You know, you relate to the fellow human beings type of thing. And, you know, kids are naturally just cute. And so you want to protect them. Even when you're evil, you just emotionally, physiologically want to protect them. I think that's why they made women kind of pretty, sort of, at times, hopefully. And, you know, you want to protect them a little bit. You don't want to be a total, like, simp, but like Jesus said, you being evil know how to give good gifts to your children. How much more your Father in heaven knows how to give good gifts. So I feel like God made them cute so that you would want to do right. It would kind of force you to do right by them. Look at all the people over on the Rumble crew. So, mess. Woo. It's the animal instinct, Hake. Yeah, it's sort of nice. Okay, back to the news. We can't dilly-dally. And I will get to your calls. 1-888-775-3773. Is Trump going to have a third term? I mean, he's not joking, too, by the way, according to him, which makes it even funnier. And the news has to be like, oh, treating it seriously. I was watching this actually on the TV. I was eating dinner yesterday afternoon, evening. And did I put it in here? Yeah. There are methods which you could do it. Trump will not rule out a third term. Far left ABC News was on the TV, and I didn't force him to change it. I'm not joking, he says. I'm not joking. And then the last one, it is far too early to think about. But they want to show it and react to it, and isn't it sort of amusing for us, those of us who see the wisdom and valor of our greatest president, and it's alarming, perhaps, to some, or makes people want to say, oh, that's ridiculous. Never going to happen, type of stuff. But I like that Trump thinks outside the box. If you will pardon me saying that phrase. I don't like that phrase. But I don't know how else to say it at this moment. He thinks differently. And he has no fences on his thinking. No taboo. That's a Christian song from the 80s or 90s. No taboo. From Whiteheart. Since I can't share with you the beautiful music, I'm just going to tell you about it. There are methods. So he will not rule out a third term. That is good. Much appreciated. Trump. They would, and because the leaks that would come out of the White House would be like, oh, he said to put a moat in alligators or to put guns and turrets on the border. How horrific. He's just floating ideas so that we can come to a solution, because many solutions are obvious, but you just can't think of them. So he suggests different ideas, and it's great. And he seems to have a whole team, perhaps, full of different thinkers, people who are just creative like that, or else it just comes from him and they are committed. Some of them, because the stuff that they're doing is, I don't know, it's cool, it's interesting, it's different. stuff that I had not thought of. Doge and all that. Well, that's Elon Musk, partly. He thinks differently as well. He does differently. Sometimes good, sometimes not, in my opinion. You know, in terms of his family and how many kids he makes, he's pro-natalist. There's natalism. Pro-natalism is making the news from the ladies at the Skim. I may tell you about that. But I would like to get to a call here, guys, before I get too deeply into all this other stuff. Robert in Kansas is on the line over here. Let me just make sure I turn him down a little bit. What's up, Robert? Thank you for calling and holding.
Hey, brother. Hey, it's Myanmar. It's Myanmar.
Oh, thank you. Myanmar.
I think not Myanmar. I think it's Myanmar. But
okay. Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, maybe they're both correct. I'll have to look this up. This is bothering me now.
Well, I'm saying another country's name with my Texas accent, so it's always going to be what it is.
Oh, it's also known as Burma. Who knew?
It was Burma before.
Yeah.
And then they kicked out the Jewish government, and the military took over, and they called it a junta and all that.
Myanmar.
You're right. That's the British.
They just didn't want to marry
Myanmar.
gays, so they kicked out the Jews.
So American, in American, it's Myanmar.
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 Oh.
Myanmar.
Oh.
Okay, so I was pronouncing it wrong too because I was saying Myanmar, but it's actually Myanmar. But in British, which I respect the English, it's
Myanmar.
Myanmar.
Yeah, Myanmar.
That's cool.
I think, or Burma.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
anyway. There's a guy, Hake, do you know Bill Clinton? He was a president, and he had a Secretary of Defense. His name, I think, was William Cohen.
Mm.
And as a nice Jewish boy like yourself, you might be able to look that up.
I'm not actually Jewish, chat, just so you're aware, but he's ribbing me, yeah?
And William Cohen, very smart man. In 1999, he was talking about how they can set off, like with frequencies, they can use frequencies in the weather, and they can use frequencies in the earth to set off earthquakes and things that would, there's natural happenings, and then there's things that apparently he was saying that they have these weapon systems that can set off, so it's something to consider, like in terms of when you hear these stories about certain areas being attacked, if those areas are not complying with the bankers' systems, then, they start to have earthquakes and bad weather and things like that. It's pretty, you look at Iran or you look at North Korea or any of these other places where they're on that list. It's something to consider in terms of weaponry, right? It's the perfect weapon if you can have weather control or you can set off an earthquake. You can do certain things like that. You have no accountability, responsibility. No one's looking at you. It's not like you're bombing something, right? So you're just able to destroy a place like that. And it's something for America to consider too, like the things that, they might do to us because we voted for Trump, right? They might take offense to that and have weather systems or earthquakes or other weapons that are, you cannot blame that on anybody. You can, that's an act of nature.
Or act of God.
It is. What?
Or act of God.
Act of God.
Right.
Well, he definitely wants to be God, doesn't he? But
Most
his whole
people
point,
do.
the whole time, he was like, yeah, I'm going to be God. And God's like, I'll throw you down here with these dirty humans, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, it's something to consider. Hey, you know, like when you look at all these things that go on, just to, it doesn't mean it's not a natural happening too. You know, that's what's so hard about it, is it could be just a natural earthquake and just have killed a bunch of people.
He didn't get along with Madeleine Albright. This William Cohen guy. It sounds like, based on what Wikipedia is saying, they're calling him what would describe a rhino to me. A Republican moderate from Maine was what he was, but he was defense secretary under Democrat Bill Clinton. But he would clash with Madeleine Albright. He called her a grandstander, too outspoken on policy matters, and too eager to use military force. Oh, she was that woman who was his Secretary of State under Bill Clinton's Secretary of State. And she died recently, right? And she bombed people or something like that, and then she didn't regret it. Something like that. Madeleine Albright, also not Christian.
Well, I don't know if you can find where William Cohen, he says, like, he has it was on video is why I know about it, because I saw him say that, you know, we can control weather systems, we can set off earthquakes, we can do other geometric, electrical, magnetic technology things. Like he was just saying that we have frequencies that can do all sorts of things. And I don't know if you can find that video where he actually says that himself, because he's in like an important place with other smart people, and he's talking about, you know, how we control the world. And I don't know if you can find that. But then you have like, what's his name? LBJ, right? Lyndon B. Johnson. You have him in the 1960s talking about, we will have a satellite weapon system that controls all the weather.
Wow.
The perfect weapon.
Yeah.
And I know that you can find that video. And so you're talking about.
I mean, I'm not familiar with any of these statements, but crazy.
No, bro. They've said it out loud, and I guess that's kind of part of the rules of the evil folks, is they have to actually tell us, and then that way they're not like responsible because you're just too stupid to resist it or something. I don't know what it is, but some Aleister Crowley satanic stuff. Sorry, I almost cussed. I almost cussed on the Hake report. I know.
I'm glad you stopped yourself.
No. I know that's not okay.
Wow.
I'll get hung up on it.
Indeed, you would. Okay. Well, I mean, they could just as easily. What comes to mind is they could just as easily say this stuff to distract us, make us speculate about it. Nice. I'm on punchy.tv/Hake. Late again. But they could easily say, you know how they push the UFO thing? Unidentified flying objects, aliens and stuff like that. I feel like, hat tip to, what's her name, Kaya. I feel like some of this stuff they push knowing that it's nonsense and mess, knowing that they don't actually have this power, and they just push it to get people distracted. I feel like the climate change mess is a big distraction in part. There's some real aspects to it, of course, but there's also all kinds of false solutions that people come up with and endorse based on fear and communism, socialism. So
yes,
I don't
sir.
know.
Hey, yes, sir. Absolutely, brother. And I would just say, because of what you addressed, that anthropogenic climate change is a total lie. It's completely a false narrative.
Well, I don't call it a lie, man. I don't think that it's a lie necessarily.
No. The amount of carbon that man releases is minuscule compared to like what the climate is. There's no the thing about climate is that they don't talk about pollution. They talk about climate change.
Right.
Pollution, as far as what we're doing to our waterways, what we are doing to our land, what we spray in our sky from chemtrails or whatever, we are polluting the heck out of our environment.
Yeah.
And destroying it. Climate change is just the nonsense they point you towards.
Well, I don't.
They do everything else.
For the
Climate change
for the sake of the
absolutely
channel,
false.
I don't want to call it nonsense.
No,
You definitely can, but
well,
I disavow it because I don't.
Well,
Because I don't
I
know
might
that
have
to
done-
be the reason why they make assertions is not because they're entirely a lie, but because none of us, the laymen, really know, and they try to get you to react, and reacting and saying no, this is all a lie, is just as wrong as them making the claim. Where it's better to say I don't know, I don't care.
Dang, Hake, well, you have me in a position where it's like the sake of the channel, and I
know.
respect that.
Yeah.
And maybe I got Anchor Baby banned. I don't know. I'm a problematic person, right?
Oh no, Anchor Baby, it's just a glitch that happened to Anchor Baby.
Well, but I don't know if it would. Maybe I called in and said something that I shouldn't have said. I don't know. That has happened to other channels as well.
Oh, okay. Well, no worries, man. I know that you love us, and we love you,
I know,
Robert.
but I cannot lay down on the climate change thing, bro. The climate change thing is absolute BS. I'm sorry. Do not cancel Hake. It's all me.
Yeah,
But guys,
I don't. I disavow it entirely.
If you okay, you got to disavow. I love you, brother. Okay.
Thank you, man.
Bye, man.
Take care.
Hey, bye.
Bye. Oh, man. What does Hake really believe? What's it to you? Jeff in Louisiana on the line here. Jeff, thank you for calling and holding, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. Thank you.
You know, there is a possibility of easy way for Trump to get a third term.
How is that?
If he runs for vice president, whoever wins the presidency resigns, he gets automatic.
But that would be too hokey, in my opinion.
Well,
I mean, if let's say he were to do that, I would be like, oh, wow, genius. But no, I don't think that. I think that's too roundabout for my taste, and it's probably for his taste too, you know. But I mean, that is true. He could run. I guess there's no reason he couldn't be vice president. But could you picture him wanting to be vice president, really?
No, but I'm just saying if. Now, this is far out there, thinking far out, but
yeah.
But say he does all he's doing right now. Say his term goes great and the country's doing great and really boom and everything else, and he just has some. No, I know Vance ain't gonna do it, but say whoever wants to run for president puts on ticket and says, "Well, you're doing such a good job. Let's see what you can finish."
Yeah.
And I think the country get behind doing that.
Yeah, I mean, just by being his cheerful, good-natured self, he's brought a lot of people, and not just cheerful and good-natured, but also highly competent and a great can-do attitude. That's brought a lot of people over. And he's also a man of peace, you know. He's not for pulling out of Afghanistan and getting soldiers killed, but he's also not for going to crazy war. And in fact, I hope that he draws an end to the wars in the Ukraine and in Gaza, whatever.
Well, you know, there's other ways. I mean, you know, which they thought they were thinking about doing this during Biden's term, but didn't have to do it. If he was running for Speaker of the House,
right.
and somebody doesn't win the Electoral College,
yeah,
he could be installed as president.
Would you want him to be a third-term president?
It depends on the way this term goes. Right now, it's looking pretty good.
Right. I would want, for his sake.
I'm sorry, Coach. I'm saying this way. I was I'm on a message board. We were discussing this, and I was talking to somebody. Said, and they asked me, "Why would you want Trump a third term?" I said, What? Would you rather have a third Trump term, another term with Pedo Joe?
Oh, I disavow that. Go ahead.
Or another term with Willie Brown side piece Kamala Harris?
Oof. My goodness.
Which one would you rather have?
Trump, not just head and shoulders, but knees and toes above the rest.
I mean, that's what you think about. Just who has done better for our country. And the only reason we got the stupid 22nd Amendment is because of Hitler and Mussolini.
Oh, I thought it was FDR, but basically the same thing.
It was FDR. He died in his fourth term.
Oh.
But they were afraid that we get dictated like Hitler or Mussolini that could run a country forever.
Right. Yeah.
That's the main reason they put who was Eisenhower?
Okay.
Or was it Truman? Truman pushed that thing.
Wow. That's interesting. I had not heard it like that before, but it's probably a lot of people realize that. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's the main reason, but it's just you gotta do what's best for you. Okay, man, I won't hold you up, but the last thing I'm gonna mention, I didn't hear what the guy just said, Robert, about when I called him, I heard something about climate change.
Right.
Dude, years ago, I want to say a comedian did a skit on it, and the truth, he said climate change is bullcrap. The Earth's a self-correcting system. Once our time's done, it gets rid of us. It cleanses itself, rejuvenates itself, and starts again. Think about the dinosaurs and everything else.
Yeah.
So just watch the slate clean.
Yeah, it's not necessarily going to fix itself in a way that's as hospitable for human beings.
And like old dude says, if we do leave anything, maybe a plastic cup, and the Earth would just use that and form it into something else to use it. That's all thing we left us, the plastic cups or plastic in the ocean.
Yeah, litter bugs, man. I shake my head.
Okay, man. Well, I ain't gonna hold you up. I was gonna holler about that Trump thing.
I appreciate it. Take care, Jeff.
Have a good one.
All right, you too. I got to get to Ronnie in Ohio on the line over here. Ronnie, thanks for calling. What's up?
My brother Hake, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How about you?
Yeah, all is well. No complaints here.
Cool. Are you fit?
Yep.
I'm just curious. Are you fit?
You said, am I fit? Yeah.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah. You got to present your body as a living sacrifice and exercise at least 3 or 4 days a week.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on the possibility of a third Trump term.
All right.
Are you hip to who Andy Ogles is?
I heard of Andy Ogles. I mean, I just heard about him today, I think. U.S. representative, and I think he wants to change the Constitution.
Yes.
As I read.
Change the
amendment, the 22nd Amendment.
Yep, about 2 months ago. So this was back in January. He was, I don't know if he introduced the bill or if he was just flirting with the idea. But he was talking about proposing an amendment to overturn the 22nd Amendment and allow for any president who didn't serve consecutive terms to run for a third term.
Right.
My question to you is, how beta does he have to be in order to put that non-consecutive clause in there to keep Obama from running for a third term?
Oh, that's funny. But that's a smart, I don't know if it's beta or not, but it's a smart beta. You got to keep Obama out of there, man. We've had enough of Obama.
So the best way to keep Obama out and allow Trump in is to exclude him You don't think
Do you
Trump could
think he
beat him
was
on
in
the ballot?
mind? Oh, no, I think Trump could beat him. But you think that he had Obama in mind when he made it clear that it was non-consecutive terms?
Why else would he say a president could only run for a third term if they serve two non-consecutive terms?
Because there's a lot of there's all kinds of reasons. Like a non-consecutive term means they wanted him back. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's more of a, let's let him finish out his thing. You know, because normally a president gets two uninterrupted terms, but Trump's his second term was interrupted. So,
right.
So it could be having to do with that. It might not have any. I'm not taking away from you that it could have something to do with Obama, but can you give me that it's not necessarily because of Obama?
Oh, I can't. It is 1,000% beta of Andy Ogles to one who is only in Congress because Tennessee gerrymandered that district in Nashville. But it's very beta of him to say, we're going to allow for people to run for a third term, but not anybody that served consecutive terms. But the only two people that it applies to, hold on, because the only two people that it applies to is George W. Bush, and then Barack Obama. Those are the only two people on the planet.
H.W.
Rest in peace to Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I had it right. It's George W. H.W. was Bush 41.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I know, but you're thinking short-sighted. He's thinking Trump, but you.
I don't really care either way.
No. But how are you so sure that it has to do with Obama?
Because there were only three. When he proposed this amendment, there were only three people alive that it could have excluded, and Jimmy Carter passed away. So now the only two people that this would apply to, the non-consecutive part, the only two people that applies to is Bush and Obama.
H.W. Bush and H.W. is. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're in terms of banning them from running again. Yeah.
Yes. So for him to intentionally say they can't run, it has to be non-consecutive.
No, but what do you think of my argument that like a lot of times people want a president, a one-term president feels honestly like a half term sometimes. And so why wouldn't, like, could you see it being the desire for a president to get an uninterrupted have the opportunity to get an uninterrupted 8 years?
Hold on. So this isn't about another 8 years. I don't see your argument. Yeah. So two things. I push back on the one term being like a half thing.
Sometimes
James Polk, he said he was going to serve one term. He served one term. It was a great term.
Nice.
Calvin Coolidge was the same way.
I know.
Just was like, I'm not running again.
But I said sometimes, not always, of course.
Yeah. But with Trump, once this term ends, he will have served his 8 years already.
No,
so
I know,
but
I said
so the amendment isn't about another 8 years.
No.
I said trying to get to 12.
No. But I said 8 uninterrupted years. Do you follow that?
I don't.
So
you're saying that he's proposing this because he just wants Trump for another 4. I was.
No.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying. You're saying that if a president serves for 4 years and then they lose, so he's proposing this amendment so that he can serve another 8 years.
Yeah. Right.
I already understand that. That's obviously what his motive is.
The motive isn't necessarily even having anything to do with Obama.
Specifically putting that non-consecutive term in there, that is all about Obama.
Not necessarily, man.
1,000%.
But you didn't. In that case, you either didn't hear or didn't comprehend what I said.
I 1,000% understand what you're saying.
And what am I saying?
What you're saying doesn't address the question. I was asking why he would put that non-consecutive part.
It does address the question.
Hold on.
What did I say then?
Hold on. Maybe you weren't understanding what he was putting in his
No, I totally get it. Yeah.
His proposal says that even if a president has served 2 terms, if they've served 2 non-consecutive terms, they should be eligible for a third term.
Yes. Exactly. And I specifically addressed it. Do you remember what I said?
you said, what if somebody wanted their president who served and then had a interrupted term
right.
to be able to come in and serve 2 more?
Yep.
I get that wholeheartedly.
You get it.
So that would only apply to Grover Cleveland and Trump, and then the non-consecutive part would only exclude Obama, Bush, and Jimmy Carter.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you, and my question to you again, how beta is that of Andy Ogles to include the non-consecutive part to keep Obama from being able to run against Trump? Is he that scared of Obama winning?
That's not that beta, and he may not even be thinking of Obama, because you didn't even really comprehend the possible fairness of how people may see this.
Who else would it apply to?
It has nothing to do, just in general, as a principle of the question. Just take Obama out of it, take Trump out of it. Can you imagine a scenario in which somebody would want their president to serve 2 uninterrupted terms after having already served a term that got interrupted the second time when he tried to run? When somebody tried, let's say Ronnie from Ohio becomes president 2035. I know it wouldn't be on a 5, but and then something comes up, like you're like, you know what, I need to my boys. You had a kid in office, and you want to be there for him, not be so busy. And then you come back a few years later, okay, I'm ready to be president again, and actually I want to be able to serve out like a full-blown 8 years. Can you imagine a scenario in which that would happen? And the people are like, you know what, that's fair. Come on. Because you're still young and strong. I can imagine
the scenario, but I can imagine the scenario, but Washington set a precedent of 2 terms for a reason.
Right. I know, but just because they did doesn't mean that they can. There might be a reason. Like, could that be a possible reason that somebody could reasonably want, and it might not have anything to do with Obama? I agree with you. I think it has to do with Trump, but it might have something to do with Obama. But
yes, of course, the scenario that you laid out is possible, but I don't think we should be adding an amendment to the Constitution to allow for that hypothetical that you just laid out.
You might be right about that. I don't really
fundamentally change this country, and I remember that being the attack on Obama, trying to fundamentally change the country.
I know, but they fundamentally changed.
We got Andy Ogles tap dancing for Trump, trying to fundamentally change the fabric of this country.
But he could be an alpha tap dancer, and you're calling him a beta. I don't really see that you're necessarily being fair-minded about this, because Obama was not like. I know that you think he was a great president in the top quality, but Andy Ogles and we see that Trump is really the man for the job. And so, hey, it's not necessarily alpha or beta to, let's say he did have Obama in mind and say, you know what, let me not get Obama back in here. He's still young, he's still popular for whatever reason. Let's get him out. Let's keep him out of there. And plus, people already feel like they're done with his term after his second term. So they'll probably agree with us anyway. That's not necessarily beta. I don't think it's beta.
That's beta.
He may be beta, but I can't tell you for sure.
It's snakish. You got to pull the snake puppet out for something like that happening.
But Obama is the snake.
Seriously. So let's put it this way. Let's say a Democrat.
Yep.
Stole a Congress seat, and if you need me to elaborate on how he stole the Congress seat, I will afterwards. But let's say a Democrat stole a Congress seat, and then they tried to propose an amendment to allow Obama to run for a 3rd term, but keep Trump from doing it.
Well, by unchecked immigration, they did steal a Congress seat. But let me answer your question. They tried to do it to bring in Obama. I would be against it, of course, because it's not about the system itself or the rules of the system. It's about right and wrong. Obama is the wrong man for the country, and Trump is the right one for the country.
Even beyond that, right or wrong, George Washington set a precedent of a president only serving 2 terms.
So do you think FDR was beta?
FDR broke that because we were at war, and it was contention on whether or not we should change. That's the 1940 election.
So he was the original Zelensky.
And I would disagree because we still held elections.
Right.
I think the first time, I think for his third one, it might have been uncontested. I think everybody was kind of unanimous and on the same page and saying we don't need to make a change of president while we're dealing with this conflict. But even still, we would have to go all the way back to FDR, and he would be the only exception to the two-term rule. Only one.
Was FDR more fascist or more communist? He was called both, right? Which one would he be more fairly accused of being? I know that probably neither in your opinion, but would he be more communist or more fascist?
He would lean more towards being a communist. He wasn't necessarily somebody that was saying one nation, one political party, one religion, allowing corporations to be able to buy politicians. That's not where he was. And somebody could try to point him towards communism because of the federal programs that rolled out under him, but,
yeah.
You know.
Okay. Yeah, because any politician, they're going to be accused of like all kinds of stuff. But I remember reading that people called him fascist. And a lot of people liked, in his day, Hitler made like Time magazine a couple of times. And it might even have been like positive coverage. Because, people can make Man of the Year and not be like considered a good person. Mm-hmm. But people kind of liked Hitler early on, I heard. They thought that he was doing some remarkable things.
I mean, he wasn't alone. To be able to mobilize the people that he mobilized, he had to have a lot of people that believed in what he was saying.
Internationally, even in America, even from the mainstream media.
There are still people to this day, even here in Ohio, that will hold up those swastika Nazi signs and try to preach and fight for the same things that Hitler was fighting for. So even to this day, his ideology is lived on. But
but it's much far more marginalized today, and I of course say rightly so. But
But people don't usually feel emboldened.
But it's kind of crazy because the people who are calling him evil, they're evil too, and their ideologies are very destructive too. So it's a big mess. It's not really. People are very cherry picky about what they call evil. Anyway, a great call, man. Interesting. Thank you for bringing up Andy Ogles. What do you think about my statement about the Democrats gerrymandering by bringing in unchecked immigration over the past decades?
I would say that's not gerrymandering. You could say it might be trying to tip the scales by changing the population,
right?
But it doesn't change the district, the way that the lines are drawn and how certain seats are,
right? So
before
technically
Tennessee
speaking,
gerrymandered Nashville was that district that Andy Ogles represents. It used to just be Nashville focused, But then they took Nashville and split it up into thirds, so it went from having one Democrat represent Nashville to now they have 3 Republicans who represent a third of Nashville and then a bunch of rural areas in 3 different directions.
Nice. Well, we wish...
He said nice.
We wish them well.
Goodness. I hate seeing it either way. I don't like when Democrats gerrymander. I don't like when Republicans gerrymander. I think voting should be fair. People should be able to have representatives in Washington, D.C. that represent them. And when you gerrymander and you have certain people voting in the same district as people that live an hour, 2 hours away from them, that's not what our founding fathers had in mind when they drew up the Constitution. So I see it as un-American, whether it's a Democrat doing it or a Republican doing it. I see it as un-American to try to gerrymander and finagle the district so that you can get your, quote unquote, your party in power.
We know that everybody's evil, but as far as the stated goals of the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party, which one would you say is better?
Neither.
They're both awful goals?
Both of them are terrible, and not holistically. Like, there are some Republicans that I agree with. There are some Democrats that I agree with. But holistically, as a party, they're not fighting for us. They're fighting for themselves against each other, and the
Right.
people are the ones that suffer.
But I'm talking about the stated goals of the parties.
I would have to look and see what their platforms say now. I don't know what the stated goals are.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you giving me a little homework, and I'll be able to speak to it better next time we talk.
Chat wants to know
look
if you
and see
voted
what
for
their
Kamala.
goals are. Say that again.
Chat wants to know if you the Snake Pit, you know, the live chat, wants to know if you voted for Kamala Harris.
I did not vote in this last election.
Thank you. Whew.
Yeah, but as I've said, I'm in Ohio, and Ohio did not need my help electing Donald Trump. So you can tell the chat that they can put their pitchforks down.
And you love your neighbors.
I do, wholeheartedly.
Nice. And your neighbors
that's
elected Trump.
That's why I like to speak out as much as I can against the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, because they don't have my neighbors' best interest in their mind. They're out fighting for themselves and for as much money as they can get and as much power as they can attain.
We'll see what happens, man.
Absolutely. So I appreciate you letting me get on. I'll jump out the line so other people can get on, and have a good week, brother.
Thank you. Take care, Ronnie.
You too.
Bye. We are at the top of the hour. Hang tight, callers. I appreciate you hanging in there. But I have some super chats to read. Carver says, hey, Hake, I may have joked about your quality of music choices and copyright infringement in the past, but this news at the end of the daily songs is truly heartbreaking. So I'm officially calling on all Snake Pit viewers, the audio podcast listeners, even the Facebook crew, even them, to create some royalty-free songs for the show. Jake Hudston leads the way for us, and we must follow in his example to help Hake in his time of need. There might be talented people in the audience and the cool AI music stuff, but remember, it doesn't have to be good music, just Hake music. I believe in James Hake. Thank you, man. Very kind. Carver. A faithful supporter, by the way. He's pretty funny in the live chat. FYI. And I've never seen Carver fight with anybody. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I've never seen it. So thank you, Carver, man. Oh, and a super chat over here on the Rumble crew. Glad I scrolled through there. Is that Commander Kim? She's always sneaking in those super chats. Commander Kim states, Obama is not a U.S. citizen, says Commander Kim. Whoa. Biden is not mentally competent, states she. Both their presidency going to be overturned, and the wall just got 10 feet higher. Wow, Commander Kim, strong words. A Rumble rant. I think he's a citizen. He's kind of an anchor baby. Although it's odd, you know, Arpaio, Obama birth certificate. Beautiful Joe Arpaio. He had this thing he did this thing a while ago. What is this? What am I looking at? Let me turn down the volume in case it gets loud. This is not even YouTube, is it?
It's that time of year.
Oh, come on.
Crisp air, fresh fairways. Golf is back.
Any golf players?
Introducing the Azalea Collection.
You know who is a golf player?
Performance polos.
This reminds me of Sean,
Built for comfort.
Jesse's former producer. He was white or Irish.
Check out our latest drop at rowback.com.
Snazzy.
And we said from day one, and I'll say it today, I don't care where he's from. We are looking at a forged document, period. That's it. And I still say we're looking at a fraudulent, forged government document. And if any of you ever did that, you'll be in jail tomorrow, I guarantee. Guarantee.
That was about, I think it was after the Obama presidency was already over. But he looked into it, and when I was looking at the PDF or whatever, the scanned birth certificate, and they compared it to this other gal's, it totally did look like it was, photoshopped or something. I don't know. I still feel like he was trolling us. Bill O'Reilly, his team looked into it and found an announcement of his birth in Hawaii. Obama. Some people say, oh, he was born in Kenya. I mean, that's what one of his college documents at like Harvard or wherever he went said, oh, he was born in Kenya. But, people brag because it's hip to be diverse. And what can be more diverse than being born outside of the country? And everybody says, oh, exciting. Yeah, I guess it was 2016 when Obama was on his way out. Trump had won and something like that. Yeah, December 2016. And I had never really taken it seriously until I saw him say it. And I remember Trump looking into it too. And what's her name? Michelle Obama pretended like it was racist. It's not. But it's of no consequence, honestly. I disagree a little bit, Commander Kim. Their presidencies are not going to be overturned. I mean, I just don't see it happening. Even with Trump in office. But nice. Thank you, Commander Kim. Shout out. I love the birthers. Are you a birther? Okay. A little bit more news, and then I will get to your calls. Okay? Because I want to get to some of this stuff. The police are killing themselves over in Houston area, and they've been doing this. Police have been committing like suicide. A cluster of suicides hit Harris County's sheriff's office in Houston over the past 6 weeks. The department in mourning, they say. Hit the sheriff's office like a bomb. Oh, women are committing suicide? Look at that man with his cowboy hat. Is that an Asian type of guy? Asian adjacent at least, maybe? Or maybe he's Latino. Christina Kohler, William Bozeman, Long Nguyen. Yeah. Nguyen. Nguyen, pronounced Nguyen, but it's spelled Nguyen. Maria Vasquez. So even the girls are doing it? Wow. Normally girls are not successful. Young ladies, And they're all like, he looks like he has a slight disturbance in him, in his photograph. But these gals look pretty. Oh, you can maybe, you feel like you can pick up anything if you look at them long enough in these portraits. Like a bomb going off. Head of the wellness program, Harris County Sheriff's Department. 3 of the 4 deaths occurred in 1 week. 4th suicide in the span of 6 years. And now I think it's 6. Because this is an older article, right? Yeah, Saturday, March 29th. Wait, is it 6 or? Oh, the past 6 weeks. Cluster of suicides. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had heard about this last week or something, and I sent it to the people. Cops have notoriously bad family, marriage type situations. They do their long hours. He's saying died by suicide. When a deputy dies by suicide, what a mess. You always wonder what you could have said or done to help them. Playing God. Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez talking in that even the sheriffs are politicians, huh? Joe Arpaio is a real guy, but a lot of these people are like fake, so they buy into all this like fake vernacular, died by suicide. And it's catching, too, because the devil talks to them. I remember there were a bunch of suicides after the Capitol riot. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the Capitol riot, the Capitol protest, January 6, 2021 AD. And I forget whether it was different departments, too, because there was the Capitol Police, and then there's also, like, I don't know, Metro Police? I don't know, something like that. DC Police. And the Get Trump Supporters angle was to blame the Trump supporters and just hype that. At least that's how it felt when they were doing it. So an Asian dude, a couple of Hispanic gals, and a white man, Bozeman. These women. I shake my head. Houston is heavy black. Not that has anything to do with them committing the suicide, I don't think. Although blacks can like stress your nerves because they're stressed. Shout out to the blacks. But yeah, not good. Law enforcement officers 54% more likely to die from suicide, to commit suicide. 54% more likely than workers in other professions to commit suicide. Crazy, huh? And they say, in part due to repeated exposure to trauma. I remember I had a cop friend who, like, he got into a firefight. He didn't even remember emptying his, it's not a clip, emptying his magazine. I wanted to say clip. And reloading and emptying that one too, or something like that. Through his own windshield, I think. Out into wherever, blah, blah, blah. And he didn't even remember doing it. They say that when you're in a shooting, you tend to underestimate how many shots you fired. So don't tell them how many shots you fired, because if you underestimate it, then the cops think that you're lying. When you weren't lying, you just didn't know how many you shot, how many times you fired. FY, just a side note. Experts call the occurrence a cluster, a suicide contagion. Like I told you, it's catching. The devil is in the mind. Kind of like a cluster of the LGBT agenda stuff. The LGBTIQ agenda stuff. You know, there's these bros who are under attack. The bros. Leave the bros alone. This reminds me. I'll try to be quick about this, callers and everybody else. I saw this thing. Oh, man. Chrome. Let's see if this works. Oh, hey, it worked. Nice. So this is kind of nasty, but CNN pushed this notification on me. Such and such guy's morning routine highlights the pressures men face today. Commie nonsense thing. Little report out March 29th. The bros under attack. By the bros, I mean the workout bros. Harmeet Kaur. That sounds like a woman's name, right? Because Harmeet Dillon is in the Civil Rights Department of the Trump administration. Look, there's Joel Friday. Just kidding, it's not. It's a fit dude, and he's like doing like a morning routine thing. I would have censored it, but I don't know how to censor that easily. Oh, you know what? I could do it right now. I know. Hang tight. Censor. There, it's censored. He has one of those things to cover up open up his nose. Oh yeah, he taped his mouth. Been all like fit. Okay. This guy, Ashton Hall, I guess he's one of those fitness guy things on the internet. His day begins 3:52 a.m., not too bad. And he has a crazy thing. He gets all fit, takes care of his skin, all that, and does a cold plunge and all kinds of stuff. And he's advertising this type of water. Bizarrely involved morning routine has inspired numerous parodies. They're making fun of him. It's kind of funny. I don't know what this person is trying to say in terms of what he has to do in order every day. But they say that these influencers, a landscape of alpha male lifestyle content. Rise and grind. Get to the grind, guys. And exercise, get fit. These people mention my competitor, one of my competitors, who's in his like 50s, maybe almost 60, and he has like a strong, I almost bared my arm, but he has like a strong bicep. He's like, guys like me didn't used to exist. American society obsessed with fitness and beauty for decades. Sometimes preoccupations were considered unmasculine, which they are. Historian Natalia Melman Petrzela. And that's true. It is unmasculine. It is so, vain. Vanity is sort of a woman thing. You understand if a woman is vain. But thanks to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, he normalized caring about aesthetics. And then Calvin Klein advertisement objectified the male form, says Common Nonsense Network. And then look at what they say. By the 1990s, unrealistic body standards, six-pack abs, broad shoulders, bulging arms, afflicted men too. That's not unrealistic to have abs for many people. It's not unrealistic to get broad shoulders. It's not unrealistic to have bulging arms. Just look at Hake. Where are they, Hake? I just don't want to show off. But also, we all know that you put in the work, you get out what you put in. And, you know, you have the discipline and stuff. Just look at Joel Friday. He lives a fairly okay life. Balanced. He doesn't take drugs. He doesn't take caffeine. He doesn't even take whey protein, I don't think. And he's fit. Just by exercising. Anyway, making better choices, as he always used to say, in terms of what he eats. And like Terry said, don't eat too much. It's no longer enough to lift weights at the gym. There are protein goals to hit, brain-enhancing supplements, to hair loss prevention drugs. More vanity stuff, right? High-profile male influencer lifestyle thing, including podcaster, my competitor, Joe Rogan, and neuroscientist Andrew Huberman. I heard of him before. He's also really fit, but he's also a neuroscientist. But anyway, they promote the idea that through experimental diets and supplementation, you can hack your biology and ultimately optimize your life. But Joe Rogan, he's pretty fit too. I mean, he does drugs and stuff, they say. It's pot, whatever. Alcohol. And he may take like testosterone or something like that. But he like exercises rigorously. And, you know, in general, you know, pretty good. It's not like they call it, what do they call it? Unrealistic? Unrealistic, whatever. You could call it unmasculine because a lot of it is vanity, but some of it in terms of what these guys say, including my competitor, is so that you can function at an older age without being all weak and frail and fragile and breaking down. And that's a good thing. Exercising is a good thing. But they're like counter-signaling fitness. I get that they're going overboard with it. Some of these people are girly and vain and whatever. Oh, yeah, and the kids they're acting like these little boys can't think for themselves. And realize, oh, you know what? This is overboard. Let me just live my life. or whatever. Look, they're referencing girly outfits like the far left of the Atlantic. Typically shown alone, no friend in sight. These influencers, they're going to use this girly word called messy. Not the man messy, not the soccer ball player messy. Life is messy. And shout out to, it's also a Christian word, Christianese, churchy word too, messy. Life is messy. These influencers present, it doesn't capture the messy and complex realities of the vast majority of people's day-to-day lives. You can't always wake up at 3:52 and train for hours before the purported workday even begins, they say. I know that. Everybody knows that, but it doesn't take much to get some exercise in, is what you are willing to do. Like the guy said yesterday in church to his fiance, the only reason you don't work out or don't want to work out is because you're listening to the thoughts telling you don't want to do it or you don't do it. Grind set and hustle mentality, bro culture. Boys and men are struggling. Data suggests fewer men are working or pursuing college. Well, the not pursuing college is in some cases a good thing. In many cases, a good thing. But working, that's not good. While more of them are dying by suicide. What, do you have to say it in the girliest way possible? They're committing suicide. And drug overdoses. Yup. Broader systemic forces behind these circumstances. Systemic. Communist buzzword. This one person doesn't feel they're connected to the appeal. Does feel that they're connected. These bin losers is connected to the appeal of fitness bro lifestyle content. Are you kidding me? That's not true. I don't think. It's interesting that they try to scapegoat the fitness bro lifestyle content, of which I disavow. I don't really care about it. But I don't disavow it completely because some of it's useful. Oh, work out this way. Oh, stretch this way. Oh, drink this in the morning. I don't know. It's interesting that they do that, but then they don't, well, this is the world for you, right? What do we expect? They don't talk about the pro-LGBTQ culture that's destroying the boys, the kids, the girls. The pro-hypersexual stuff. No. Oh, no. Or the subsidizing of single mothers. No. Stuff that's like actually disgusting and no good for you whatsoever. At least exercise is, even the Bible says, is of some value. But they're pushing stuff that's of no value. The LGBT, single mothers, anger, fake idea of racism, S-word, out of wedlock, sex. On some fundamental level, men are trying to work out what their place is in this world. Their place in this world. Michael W. Smith. It's a Christian song. Place in this world. Or face in this world? No. Place in this world. Face in this world was a Christian comedian. Parody. What they do about this state, because when you start to exercise and stuff, like it's exercise is good, yeah, and then you get a job too. You have more energy for that job. Who gets to belong? Fitness, the body you display in the world becomes one of the most fundamental ways, blah, 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 blah. So, cry about it. Men under attack. Unattainable, unrealistic, unattainable form of masculinity. Lord, stop talking. Now I realize that the girls are, they're setting up the girls not to be fit either by calling it unrealistic. If you're going to say sex, you don't have to say the S word. I know, but sometimes you have to clarify. Anyway, let me move on. Daniel in Texas on the line over here. Daniel, thank you for calling and holding, man. What's up?
Hey, James. Thank you for having me.
Right on. You're fit, aren't you?
Yes.
Yep. I remember them because you sound like you're fat, but you're actually fit.
That's right.
Yeah, you actually like run and stuff.
Fat on the inside, but fit on the outside.
Fat, like spiritually fat? Is that what you mean?
Spiritually fat. I'm spiritually engorged.
Terrible. Yeah. So what's up?
I wanted to follow up on Exodus. So I saw we had a couple call-ins. I mean, you did anyway.
Yeah.
About Exodus and, claiming who the Pharaoh was or whether or not we have access to that information. And part of it is me just being way too deep in my imagination about the whole thing. But
yeah,
my sentiment is that if this thing was true, we would be able to cross-reference it. We do know the list of pharaohs. We know that the writing system was intact for at least 3,000 years. We know the kings of Egypt throughout their various periods, from the Old Kingdom to both intermediate periods, the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom. The writing system still stays the same. We know who the kings are, and we don't know who the Pharaoh of Exodus is. That's where I'm coming from.
What did you think of the person who called me and suggested? What did you think of his suggestion that it would have been embarrassing, so they left that part out of the Egyptian writings?
Well,
total speculation. Total speculation.
Well,
but what do you think of that?
The suggestion is, I don't think it's a sound suggestion, because you're suggesting that not only can you not cross-reference it with the Egyptian writing, but it's not sourced in its own writing.
Right.
The name of the Pharaoh is not sourced in the original writing.
Yeah.
So you don't even have a place to begin to cross-reference.
When I read the book and when I learned about it, I, of course, as a kid, wasn't even concerned with which pharaoh it was. I was like, ooh, dang, cool, a pharaoh. So it's like oftentimes there's stories, and some of these stories don't necessarily specify, like, I don't know if Snow White had the old one, the original, the Disney one.
Right. Right.
Well, I don't know if the Disney one is probably original. It's probably not. But anyway, like Cinderella and all these other things, they're not even set in any particular thing. Although it is,
well,
you know what I mean?
I want to kind of add a little bit more to what
Not
you're
that
saying.
I'm calling it a fairy tale, of course, but go ahead.
Right. But I kind of am. And what he's saying is that other dynasties would erase the history of previous dynasties. The problem is that stuff would have had to have gone into the source material of Exodus. That means that these dynasties would have had to, in cooperation with the people who wrote Exodus, have scrubbed that as well. And that's just not sound. That's not a sound thing to say. That, a pharaoh came into power, he eliminates all the names of the previous pharaohs or whatever, which is not a thing that happened. They may have eliminated the previous pharaoh for political means, but there's still records of all the pharaohs in the past. Typically what they would do is they would obscure their monuments or build over them.
Right. Do you think...
And it's hard to...
Yeah, go ahead.
But my point is, they didn't go out to the Dead Sea, where the scrolls are, and start deleting the names of pharaohs from those as well.
Meaning the Hebrew, the Hebrew
right.
Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right. The problem is that it's not in the original text. That's just the crux of the matter. And since there's no specific reference to any pharaoh, you just have to say, okay, well, there's no Pharaoh.
I don't have to
no
say
Pharaoh.
that. You have to say that. Do you think that Moses existed?
I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that seems to source it is this the Bible. Like, that's the only source for it.
Right. Because he was not noteworthy that they knew, that anybody else knew of. He either
and
they flattened a whole bunch of other cities in their path, and they go ahead.
Here's my thing. I think part of it is not just saying, oh yeah, I believe this exists. You're also denying things that the Egyptians did document. You're denying this history that the Egyptians had of recording their own history, which is very real. They did record their history. They recorded their kings.
Unlike
they do have records.
So were the Egyptians black?
The kingdom of Cush was the only time in the Egyptian, and that went for I think 200 years. The kingdom of Cush, I think they did rise to power, and I think it came during one of the intermediate periods.
Was that BC or AD Cush?
BC. The kingdom of Cush would have been. Oh man,
Cush with a C or a K?
Here's the thing that the best scholars will tell you: don't pay attention to years.
Right. Okay.
You can't really pay. You don't know how long certain pharaohs lived, so really don't pay attention to years. Just pay attention to what each of these pharaohs did. And in the New Kingdom, there is a list of all the pharaohs. I think Abydos is what it is. There's a list of all the kings of Egypt.
Yeah. Now,
I don't care how many intermediate periods and periods of strife you have. That's still a record of the kings.
So the rest of them were white Egyptians or lighter?
Well,
Arab Egyptians. What were they?
I don't know, and I think it's hard to know if they look like the Egyptians today. But here's the other thing: Egypt may have looked very different in the past than it does today. I know that the Egyptians. We always think of the Egyptians in the desert with their pyramids, and then along the Nile to have a few trees. But no, the Egyptians lived in the delta of the Nile, or not the delta, but they lived along the Nile. It was very lush, very green, and they loathed the desert. The whole of the Egyptian kingdom was along the Nile River.
Oh.
They didn't live in the desert. They lived along the river.
Yeah.
They loathed the desert. They didn't want anything. They didn't want anything to do with the Mediterranean Sea or the desert.
How come it looks so dusty and these pyramids and sphinxes or whatever they are
because I think because it looked different back
then.
And they looked different back then. And
it was more lush back then?
Yeah, but they would build their monuments, out in the where the river doesn't touch because the river inundates.
Right, it floods.
It overflows.
Yeah.
So when it floods, they can't do their farm work, so they go and build these monuments.
Okay. Where is so there are several rivers, it looks like, running through Egypt. Modern day Egypt. Okay, interesting, man. So you don't know whether what's his name existed. That guy. Nice, that's way better. You don't know whether Moses existed. So you don't know who wrote the accounts? Because what I always heard was that Moses wrote Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And why would all that Moses knew was Pharaoh? He didn't know which Pharaoh necessarily. He just knew Pharaoh, I think. Maybe he knew a little bit more because, according to the story, he was raised partly by Pharaoh's daughter. And I'm not sure if it's... go ahead.
Moses would have recognized the cartouche of his Pharaoh.
Oh,
He would have known who the pharaoh was.
maybe he didn't want to hurt his feelings or smear him too badly.
That's exactly what it is, James.
uh,
That's the component my black heart is missing.
he, because Moses was the most humble man in the world, according to Moses.
Moses, I called before and said that I was wrong about what it means. Is born. So like Tutmosis means Thoth is born. Ramesses is Ra is born. It means it's born. It's a birth. It's a reference to a birth, and that's what it's. But it is an Egyptian word. Was my point.
Yeah.
And my point is that he would have known Egyptian. He would have known how to maintain records. If he kind of was raised in this upper class, he would have understood the language.
Right.
He would have understood the writing system.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it just kind of falls apart when you start scratching away at it. And the reason why I'm talking about it is because I think it does a disservice to Egypt. I think it does a disservice to the records that the Egyptians did have and that they did keep. And yeah, all of their accomplishments weren't always as good as the other one, but they would basically just win their battles closer to home.
Right.
So it's not like they didn't document anything, and they did this for a period of time that no other culture has ever done.
Are you sour grapes that the Jews are on top of the world and the Egyptians are like a side note today?
No, I'm not, because I just think it's funny that it's hard to you can't really talk about are these things myth or whatever without names, right?
You broke up there. You can't really talk about these things.
You can't talk about like the Old Testament being fact or fiction without being scrutinized yourself. Right.
And I don't think of you any less or more or whatever. I'm not up in arms over it. It's an interesting question, honestly.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Did you hear about Trump signing the Statue Reconstruction Act?
I know that he was wanting to do something to that effect. He's a monuments type of guy.
Yeah, I think he did it. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he did sign like this Reconstruction Act for these monuments. So we may get another Lee statue again.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a shame.
There's really no separating American history from Lee.
Yeah.
You can't do it as long as America exists, because Lee put this country, for better or for worse, through its most critical time ever.
Wow.
So, and at the end of it, it was met with a handshake between Lee and Grant.
Yeah.
So there's no getting away from that. That will never disappear. That's
cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. It's good hearing from you, and I'm glad that you called.
Okay.
And I'm glad you're fit.
Yeah, I'm fit, and I'm spiritually fat, and I'm fit on the outside.
Well, cool, Daniel. Call me again, as you know, as always.
Okay, will do.
All right. Bye. I missed another super chat from Commander Kim. Oh, Trump gonna do a third term. Shout out to Trump. That's right. I'm with you, Commander Kim. Nice. And Alan in Michigan is on the line over here. Alan, go ahead.
Oh, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
I had a few words about this weather warfare stuff.
Okay.
And I can understand what he says. I've known about this.
Robert in Kansas. What Robert in Kansas said about the weather manipulation?
I've known about this stuff since the 1970s. I know they use weather warfare. I've read books on it. But most people, it's hard for them to grasp. And you have to I'm not being arrogant or anything, but you have to kind of give people these things
You cut out there.
live in Huron County here.
Hey,
I've
Alan, what did you say? You have to give these people a what?
Give them some slack. Don't try to be arrogant with them.
Oh, people who
Be
believe
ordinary folk.
People who believe in whether they believe in climate change or UFOs or weather manipulation or whatever. Cut them some slack.
Right. It's a lot to digest at once.
Right.
It took me years to really understand a lot of this. But I often look up in the sky here and I see cross trails of chemical trails and that. I said, oh, well, I guess we're going to have rain in a couple of days. And sure enough, there's a weather change. So they've been doing this for decades, but there's even more terrible weapons they use. I happen to believe that Lahaina was one of these, but I'm not going to try to push this on people. I might mention it, and I said, well, you might consider this.
Oh, so you're saying to be patient with us normies who don't believe in the weather conspiracy manipulation thing.
Right. It's a lot, because even when I started with this, I thought, is that really true?
Right.
Well, I have the leisure to be able to read the books, but most people are out there trying to raise a family, make a living. It's very, very difficult. I thought, well, what am I going to concentrate on? Well, I have chosen Scripture and the Bible and solutions from Scripture. That is my thing.
Yeah.
Not the way, and I say, okay, yes, there are people looking into weather warfare and all that, but consider this. Didn't God say as one of the curses that we would live in a polluted land? Aren't we just getting what God promised?
Right.
Not in a good way.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Now, this thing, and I wanted to go on to the next subject, this railing at the Jews.
Yes.
Now, I'm not defending these people.
I am.
I lived in, well, it's a nuanced view.
You lived in what? Go ahead. Yeah.
I lived in a suburb of Chicago, so I saw what was going on there, and I knew people. In fact, I had, I guess you could call him a friend, and I used to refer to him as Max the Nazi. He did not like Jews.
in South Side Chicago?
This was the southwest side of Chicago.
And what was going on in the south side of Chicago? Your friend didn't like Jews down there?
Well, he was, and quite
Was
a
he
few
black?
others. In fact, no, he was white, Polish descent.
Oh, watch out for those Polish.
And well, if you knew his personal story, and I don't want to go into details, you could understand it. But people don't understand.
Was that widespread in the south side of Chicago?
Well, there was quite a group. There was a Nazi group at a place called Rockwell Hall near Marquette Park, and I knew some of the people that went there. It was a Nazi organization
in South Chicago.
Yes, and it was led by a gentleman by the name of Frank Collin.
Okay,
you can look this up. Yeah.
All right. So
turns out he was Jewish.
See, I told you. Those Jewish people, they're the most anti-Jewish people. The ones who are Jewish or Jewish adjacent, or sometimes Italian or Irish, because they're more Catholic, and Catholics have a beef with Jews for some reason that Protestants don't have as much. Interesting. Huh. Mm-hmm. And so, well, right on. And so you're fair to the Jews. You're fair to the Jewish people.
Well, I believe me, Max the Nazi would give me copies of the Sentinel.
Max
and
the
Jewish
Nazi.
That's the Polish.
Nazi. Okay, Polish Nazi.
Okay, Polish
and then there was a Jewish Nazi too.
That's Frank Collin, whose actual birth name, according to I saw was supposed to be his birth certificate, was Frank Cohen. And Cohen in Hebrew it means priest.
Wow.
If that means anything. But in any case, Max the Nazi would give me these papers, so I had a real bird's eye view of what they think about us, about Christians and stuff, and it isn't pleasant, but not all Jews are into the Sentinel Net. You have the Reformed, you have the Orthodox, You have the Hasidic.
Right.
They're different sects. It's like Christianity. The Baptists, we have the Baptists, the Calvinists,
oh yeah, there's all
well,
kinds
the
of
Mennonites,
and even among them, they're infighting. Even within a single church, there's infighting.
Amen
and
to that.
backbiting.
Yes, you
Terrible.
hit it right on the nail head. We're fighting among each other.
Yeah.
I happen to have been raised in the Lutheran church, but that's only an accident of history. When Europe was cut up into Protestant and Catholic areas, I could have very well been raised Catholic.
Right.
or in Switzerland, I would have been a Calvinist.
Yeah.
Or in the Netherlands, or in England, the Anglican Church descendant. So you have to have a kind of a nuanced view. However, I will not excuse any denomination, religion, or whatever that goes against the Word of God. And the Talmudic Jewish religion is definitely an antichrist religion. I don't think a lot of Jews understand that, and they're caught up in this. And the Christian. What are we supposed to do as Christians?
Is that what like our friends Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager, are they Talmudic? Talmudic?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I cannot read their minds. I don't know what their history was. Be fair.
Like, how serious is the Talmud for most of them? Or is it just so happened to like coincide with
for the Hasidics, very, very, the ones that have the black hats and the beards.
Those are my favorite ones because they don't bother anybody. They just make great music. They just make like reggae.
Oh, I don't know too much about their musical taste. But the Orthodox tend to be more Talmudic, and
well, those guys aren't the ones who are in the power. Oddly enough, I don't think.
Well,
it's more the atheist ones.
Well, the thing is,
and atheism
if you really know what the Talmud is,
yeah.
basically that the Jews are their own God. Now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, I have a copy of some of the portions of the Talmud, and honestly, some of them are pornographic. I'll just give you one example, and I don't want to rail at what they call the regular Jews. I'm talking about what the Talmud teaches about Adam. It says in the Talmud that Adam had relations with all the animals before he had relations with Eve. And I'm cleaning this up here.
Oh, I don't know if I wanted to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's maybe I should have tried to use.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, anyway,
that's what has it in there. But be fair with these people,
right?
And
just
I like what.
Just like be fair with the normies who don't know about the weather manipulation.
Exactly.
Cut them some slack.
Now, I'm a kind of a newbie. I've only listened to you and JLP for about a couple months.
Nice.
And what I like about JLP, he really emphasizes this idea on a personal level, in many cases, when he talks to people and they come in for counseling. Getting rid of the hate, releasing it, getting out of it. And I see so many people that get into this hate thing.
Right.
Rather than what I think is lacking is to look at yourself. And
that's right.
The word I'm going to use is repent.
Yeah.
To change your mind. John the Baptist and Jesus. What was the very first words that Jesus said when he came out of his temptation in the desert? Repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand.
Is at hand.
The very same Greek words that John the Baptist made before that. Well, John the Baptist was Elijah. I will send Elijah the prophet. Okay.
Yep.
And
nice.
One part of that, and this is really the crux of the whole matter, as Christians, as believers in Christ, there is a verse of Scripture, Old Testament, from Ezekiel 3, and I'll just quote it here real quick. I got my KJV here.
Real
when
quick.
I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand.
Dang.
Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he
Nice.
turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. That is, there's a Latin term. It basically means silence implies consent. And we are not to do that as Christians. If we see somebody doing something wrong, we don't point an accusing finger and roll our eyes in our head and say, oh, thou art an antichrist.
Well, I do.
No, we gently, well, in some cases you have to. You know,
Right, but you warn them, and then your hands are clean. The blood is not on your hands anymore. You warn them once.
Exactly.
Nice. I appreciate it, Alan in Michigan. That's it.
I'll stop there and let other callers call in.
All right. Take care.
Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Mr. Pink says, it's not in there like that. Yeah, take what you hear on the Hake Report with a grain of salt, okay? It's not necessarily true, everything you hear. Anthony in SoCal on the line here. Anthony, we have a few minutes. What's up? Are you there? Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you okay, I think. Let's go.
Okay, sorry. I heard our last call and it sounded really bad, so I really apologize for that. I tried to get my phone fixed, but we'll see how it goes today. Anyways, I liked Daniel's call today. It was really cool. I learned a bit more about Egypt from what he was saying. However, I just wanted to make a few points. First, I'll start by saying there's really, as much as we want to view the books of Moses as historical, I'm not even entirely sure, Hake, if that's what the authors intended on it to be initially. However, it does include good historical tidbits here and there. But with regards to the Kings list, Daniel, he wasn't accurate about what he said. There's several Kings lists that are vastly different. Seti's list, or Abydos's Kings list, has 76 pharaohs, but they skip rulers from the Amarna period. But on Karnak's Kings list, which is also Thutmose III's Kings list, there's only 61 kings. And they omit Hatshepsut, of course, because she was a female pharaoh. But then on Saqqara's Kings list, which is a bit more recent, it's from around 1200 BC, there's only 58 kings on that list. So even though it's the most recent Kings list, there's still omissions.
Omissions, meaning they left stuff out. Yep.
Yeah, they left stuff out, yeah, and I thought I made it clear when I called in previously, but I know my voice was coming in and out. But
you're the one who said, are you the one who said they would have left stuff out that's embarrassing?
Yeah, and in other words, I want to frame it in a more historically accurate sense. Think about it in a more propaganda mode. These were sophisticated societies that existed for thousands of years, like Daniel mentioned. Egyptians had spies. They engaged in espionage. They did all this to maintain the image of the pharaoh as truly a god on earth.
Yeah.
A god incarnate. So you could see the development of spies and maintaining the pharaoh's image. Anyways, so while I do admit the Bible isn't necessarily, the first 5 books aren't necessarily meant to be historical.
Right.
There are instances where you wonder, where did that information come from? If there's, no account of the Israelites in Egypt, historically speaking. They have a lot of, for example, the construction of bricks. While it does seem simple, mud and straw. That was specifically the way bricks were made in Egypt. But one thing besides that,
I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon here.
Gotcha, Hake. So, Daniel, check out Manetho's accounts. He has a good amount of writings that Josephus later referenced, which aren't reflected in ancient Egyptian history.
Wow, so that guy predates Josephus, this ancient historian, huh?
Yes. He was one of the guys in the Temple of Ra. So he was in the midst of a lot of the proceedings in towards the end of the dynasty. But the last thing I want to say, Hake, it's my main reason I wanted to just call out Daniel's point wasn't necessarily the illegitimacy or the missing parts of Exodus. It's more so the approach to denying the overall faith or the overall message or meaning behind the 5 books of Moses. I just thought it wasn't the best point to oh, there's music playing. Okay, Hake.
I appreciate it, man.
Later, man.
Okay. I appreciate your call. It's good to hear from you, Anthony in SoCal.
Likewise.
Call me again. Take care. Interesting, guys. It's John Parfit Monday. I am a ghost. Guys, this has been the Hake Report. Joel Friday TV coming back. Coming soon. Bright lights. Without your love. Thank you, Super Chatters. Punchy TV today. (2014). All right, guys. I got to get out of here. Like I said, Joel Friday TV coming up. Thanks for joining. Call me tomorrow. And we'll have a good time. Take care.